Hi, so you know my name is Sherry, and I am doing this video. I may do more in the future. Be warned that there is content here because it is about a rape. I was raped by David Richard Terrell. He also goes by the name Dave Terrell. He's lived in the Lake of the Ozarks before, and he currently, well, at least I don't know currently, but he told me at the time that he lived in Chesterfield, Missouri, and that he was working at a restaurant in Chesterfield. That's what he told me. And he raped me on Labor Day, September 4th. So it's been 3 months. So this is a little new. Bear with me if I get emotional. So what I'm going to do right now is read the statement that I gave to the police. And it's similar to what I testified in court to in the civil case for an order of protection. If you look on Missouri CaseNet, there's an order of protection against David Richard Terrell from Chesterfield, Missouri. And I testified in court as to the details of this rape. It's a public record. You can obtain that information from the St. Louis County Courthouse. They have an audio recording of it. And he did not show up. There was a judicial finding by the judge for the order of protection, and it's in place, and it's set to auto-renew. So for the next 2 years, until I have to go back to court, I have that, and the criminal charges are pending. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the statement that I wrote for the police, and yeah, so I'm just going to start there as part of my healing journey. So this is what I testified to under oath at the civil court hearing on the order of protection that was granted. I was matched with David Richard Terrell on Plenty of Fish. We began messaging on POF, Plenty of Fish. Then we began texting. Then we set a date for Labor Day, Monday, September 4th, 2017. This was the first time we met in person. On the day of our date, we met at a restaurant in Chesterfield Valley. Then we decided to see a movie, and we went to his truck about 3 p.m., and he gave me roses. We went to see My Hitman's Bodyguard, which I think started at 4:10 p.m. We went back in the truck to the same restaurant. I was having belly and back pain because of a yeast infection, and he knew about the yeast infection. He said he could put his hand on my belly and do energetic healing that he learned from his grandma. He said he would wrap his arms around me and make me feel safe and better and take care of me. I was tired, in pain, and I wanted to go home. By mutual agreement, we decided to go to my house to watch a movie. He told me that he was a Navy veteran and medic, and I trusted him. He followed me in his truck. It was storming when we left the restaurant. We got to my house around 9 p.m. When we got to my house, I took him in through the back door. I had the roses he'd given me, so I went to put those in water in a vase in the kitchen. He kept saying how the roses weren't as beautiful as me, and other than his grandma, I was the most beautiful woman he'd ever seen. We went into the family room to watch a movie. I asked him which one he wanted to watch. I had a couple. He chose Stripes because he hadn't seen the extended version. I started the movie and we laid down on the couch. Before he sat down, he unbuttoned his shirt. He told me earlier he had a sweating problem, so I didn't say anything or think too much of it, though it was a little weird. He asked me if he could take off his shoes when he sat down, and I said yes. He was behind me on the couch with his arms around me. There was a pillow under my head and one under his. He put his hand on my belly to make it feel better. He said it was like a heating pad, and he said the energy would make it better. He knew I had a yeast infection and had been sick with it all weekend, and he had been repeatedly telling me he could make it better by putting his hand on my belly. We were watching the movie. He started kissing the back of my neck. He started messing with me with his hands, running them down my side, on my arm. He pulled my shirt up and said he wanted to feel my skin against his. It was like that for a short period of time. I didn't want that, so I pulled it down. I said, quote, I know you want to feel my skin against yours, but I don't want my shirt pulled up. I want it down, close quote. At some point, he moved his hand from my belly and put it up my skirt. His hand was inside my underwear. I had told him in the truck earlier and in the restaurant and on the phone before our date, quote, I don't want to have sex with you tonight. I don't want to have sex with you for a long time. I don't want this to be about sex. And I can't have sex because I'm still healing from a yeast infection and it's swollen, close quote. I repeated these statements several times. Pause for a moment, right? He started stroking my labia and the outside of the vagina. He put a finger inside my vagina, which hurt. He was rubbing up against me from behind, asking me if I could feel him against me. He was referring to if I could feel his erect penis pushing against my back. I said yes, that I could feel it. He aggressively kissed me on the mouth, very wet with lots of tongue. It was like his mouth was covering my face or something. He stuck his tongue in my ear, really far into my ear, and started licking in my ear, and it was gross. It made me uncomfortable and scared. I tried to move my head to stop him from doing it, and he did not stop. All this time he was moaning. His body started shuddering and convulsing. I could smell him. It made me nauseous, and it frightened me. He kept saying breathlessly, baby, 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 over and over and over and over again in this weird, breathless voice. At some point, he pulled my shirt up again, and he kept saying, quote, baby, 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 repeatedly. He'd been saying, quote, I want you so bad, tell me you want me, close quote, over and over and over. I had told him earlier in the day when he said it, and I told him every time he said it on the couch at my house. I told him every time, quote, I don't want to have sex. This is our first date. I don't want to have sex for a long time. I'm still healing, close quote. I repeated the same things again. I don't want to have sex. I'm healing. It's swollen. It would hurt. I don't want to have sex for a long time. Forgive me, this is hard. That's not adequate of a word. I was feeling a lot of pressure from him this entire time. He would not respect my no, and he would not take no for an answer. He kept pushing me, and he kept pushing me and pushing me this entire time to have sex with him. I was still on the edge of the sofa. I pushed him away, sat bolt upright, and said, we have to stop this now, close quote. Then I repeated the same things as before, that I didn't want to have sex, etc. He said, okay. I lay back down to watch the movie. Again, I did not want to make him angry. He told me, quote, I know you don't want to have sex now, but when you're ready, whenever that is, when you're ready, I will make love to you like you have never been made love to before, close quote. He said this earlier in the day, too, in the truck on the way back from the movie theater to the restaurant for dinner. I had to get up and medicate my cat. What he had done to my vagina, both inside and out, had hurt me, and I was in pain. I was feeling gross because I was repulsed by him, by what had happened, and I was just so tired. So I said I had to get up and medicate my cat. Quite soon, he tried to make it sexual again. He started messing with my vagina again, touched me with his hand inside my underwear, rubbing his fingers against my vagina, putting his fingers inside my vagina. I felt sick to my stomach from the smell of him. He was rubbing his fingers around the edge of my vagina inside my underwear. I wanted him to stop, and I told him to stop. He had made a tear in my skin to the right side of my vagina, next to and on the outside of my labia, and it burned every time he touched me around my vaginal area. I wasn't sure what to do. I was scared and I was in shock. He was kissing me. He stuck his tongue in my ear again. I turned towards him a little. I did not want his tongue in my ear. At some point, the pillow fell on the floor, and I no longer had a pillow. At this point, he got on top of me. He weighed 215 pounds. The top of my head was pressed up against the arm of the sofa. He had me pinned down, and it hurt. I tried to scoot down a couple times so my head wasn't pressed against the arm of the sofa and to alleviate the pain, but I couldn't move. He was kissing me. He lifted up my shirt and moved my bra over, and he started kissing, biting, and sucking on my nipples. I didn't know what to do. He was doing the heavy breathing and body shuddering and constantly repeating, "Baby, baby, baby," and, quote, "I want you, tell me you want me," close quote. I said, quote, "I want you, but I don't want to have sex with you. It's our first date. I'm healing down there. You know that," close quote. Again, I told him to stop. He sat up on his knees and I was underneath him. He unzipped his pants and smiled and said, quote, "It just has to breathe a little," close quote. He said, quote, "I know you don't want to have sex. I'm unzipping because there's not enough room for it in there right now," close quote. He asked me to let him put his penis against my vagina. I said no. The same answer again, no. He asked me repeatedly, at least 10 times, but I think a lot more than that. I gave the same answer each time. I said no. He lay back down on me, slightly to the left side of me. I still could not move. I was trapped on the inside of the couch and pinned down partly by the weight and size of him. He took my hand and he put it on his erect penis, which was inside his underwear. I pulled my hand away. He then took his penis out of his underwear and put my hand on it again. He motioned for me to stroke his penis. He kept begging and pushing me to let him put his penis against my vagina. I kept saying no and repeating the same thing I said every single time. No, I don't want to. I don't want to have sex with you. I took my hand off his penis. I never wanted to touch him to begin with, but I was afraid of him. He was the one that put it there. Sorry. He kept dripping sweat on his face and wiping it off with his left hand when he was on top of me and then touching me with that hand. He said he didn't want it to drip on me. It made me sick. He was directly on top of me at this point. He was heavy on top of me. I felt frozen. I couldn't think. I couldn't see what was happening with his belly fat and my skirt blocking my vision, and his body pressed hard against me. But the next thing I knew, I felt his erect penis rubbing against my vagina inside my underwear. I was frozen. I didn't know how to make him stop. I again said no and tried to move and shift my body to get him to stop, but I could not move. My mind couldn't think fast enough. Then he pushed his penis inside my vagina and penetrated my vagina. It hurt a lot. I shoved my hands against his chest and emphatically again said, "Stop." He had already penetrated my vagina at that point. I was still pinned underneath him on the couch. He pulled his penis out of my vagina, but he did not get off of me. He shifted to the left, further blocking and my exit from the couch, and I could not move at all. I told him that not only did I not want to have sex, that we had not even had the necessary conversation yet about STDs. He then said he'd been tested for everything in the last year since he had sex, and they were all negative. Finally, I said thank you for stopping. I was trying to engage him in conversation so I could get him off of me. I couldn't believe that I actually thanked him for stopping when he had just violated all of my clearly stated boundaries and raped me. It was surreal. My mind was so many steps behind that I couldn't think. He said something like, quote, "I would never hurt you," close quote. I said, quote, "Well, you would hurt me. I told you I can't have sex. I'm swollen inside and it hurts," close quotes. He finally got up on his knees and said, quote, "I don't want any part in hurting you," close quote. I said, "Good." But then he started touching me under my shirt, on my belly and on my thighs. I was still trapped on the couch, running both hands and fingers over me while looking at me. I could not get him to stop. He then laid back down on me and he started touching and stroking the outside of my vagina again. Then he went down on me and performed oral sex on me with his mouth and tongue. I did not want it at all. It grossed me out, and even more so because I had a yeast infection. He came back up, laid on top of me, came back up to my mouth and kissed me, and I gagged and almost threw up. Then he started falling asleep. He was lying on top of me and a little to my left side, blocking my way off the couch and pinning me with his weight to the couch. I could not move. My head hurt, and it was jammed against the edge of the couch arm. His head was heavy on mine, and all his weight all dropped on me, and it hurt my head, and I was having trouble breathing. He had me pinned down, and I could not move. He started snoring, and I was in pain. He was too heavy, and I couldn't breathe. I tried to physically wake him, shove him, try to move physically to wake him, but I could hardly move. But he'd wake up and start messing with me again when he would wake, putting his fingers on my vagina. I would have thought saying no already and shoving would have made him stop, but it didn't, so I didn't know what to do. I finally got him to get off of me somehow. I tried to engage him in conversation to do it. He sat up finally. I managed to scoop myself up some. I was in shock, just wanted him out of my house. At this point, it was probably around 11 p.m. He said to me, quote, "I want to feel it against you. Don't you want to feel it against you? Let me put it there again," close quote. He was referencing his penis in my vagina. Even after all of this, I was just in shock and incredulous. I said, again, "No, I don't want to. It hurts. I just told you it would hurt," close quote. I told him he had to go because I had to work the next day. He was standing, towering above me. I was sitting on the edge of the sofa. His penis was in my face inside his underwear. His pants were unzipped. He took my right hand, took his penis out, and placed it on his limp penis. He then made me stroke his penis. I was trapped there by him. I was afraid of him. I was afraid he would push me back down on the couch, so I complied. Then I took my hand away. He finally zipped his pants. He moved away, maybe to get his shirt, I don't remember. I was finally able to stand, and I started walking towards the kitchen. He walked behind me. I walked him to the back door. He left, and I locked it behind him. It took me about an hour and a half to get him out of my house. He left, I think, about 12:30 a.m. I turned on the house alarm. I was so disgusted. I wanted to get the smell of him away and from me. And I couldn't wash my hands enough, especially my right hand, which he had placed on his penis. So that's my statement to the police. I testified about this in open court in the order of protection hearing. As I said before, the criminal case is pending, any charges. And yeah, ignore that random music in the background. I don't know what that is. So what I would ask is that you share this video. Hashtag David Richard Terrell, hashtag Dave Terrell, hashtag Chesterfield, Missouri, hashtag rapist, hashtag sexual assault, hashtag order of protection, just whatever you can, because I need to share the truth of this as part of my healing journey and to protect other women. Hashtag me too.